Supported by tanks and artillery, 7 North Korean infantry divisions, some 90,000 men, had launched a surprise attack. The crisis that would haunt Truman for the rest of his years in office had begun. Not long after Truman had become president, Korea was divided at the 38th parallel into 2 hostile parts, a Soviet-supported North and an American-backed South. Now, the North had attacked the South with just one goal: to unify Korea under communist rule.
He was convinced from the very beginning that the Soviets were behind this. He had no doubts at all of that. We'd seen it as they'd taken over the satellite countries in Eastern Europe, as they had poked and prodded and pressed elsewhere.
His initial response was that this was a Soviet-directed attack and that he was being directly challenged by Stalin. Stalin did support the invasion, but at North Korea's insistence, and it was from a safe distance by sending Soviet supplies and advisors. What the United States got involved with in 1950 was not aggression from the Soviet Union. What we got involved with was an incredibly bloody civil war in Korea. There are as many as 100,000 Koreans killed before the Korean War of 1950 occurred. And I think it's fair to say that Truman knew very little about this background.
As Truman headed back to Washington, he turned to the war that had ended just 5 years before to help him understand the war he was facing now. Communism was acting in Korea, he wrote, just as Hitler and the Japanese had acted earlier. If the communists were permitted to force their way into the Republic of Korea, no small nation would have the courage to resist threats and aggression. As his plane touched down at National Airport, the president appeared grim. By God, he would tell his advisors, I'm going to let them have it. That same evening, Truman authorized weapons and supplies to reinforce the South Koreans. The next day, he ordered American planes to strike at the North Korean army.